You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Hovland.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 333. That's a whole lot of threes.
Whoa.
Welcome, everyone, and special night today because we've got all the threes wrapped up in our show title, so that's good. Joining us, as always, we have... don't do that, Patrick. You're going to get Casey to do it. Then we're going to get some screen stuff that's going to go on. But we want to introduce our co-host tonight, Mr. Patrick. Connor joins us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I'm good. Hello, Tesla Nation. I look forward to this show every week, and we are going through historic times. Personal transportation hasn't changed this much since, I don't know, the Gilded Age when we used to ride horses. And it's sometimes hard to see because every week there's just some little step in this direction. But things are this is like, I don't know, the most recent one is like maybe the invention of the internet or personal computers. I mean, this is epic. The world before it and the world after this transition will be incredibly different. And we're all here to talk about it every week. So thank you, welcome, and let's have some fun.
Indeed. Good. Also joining us, Mr. Casey Green, co-host from the Mid-Atlantic region. How are you today, sir?
Doing quite well. A little show and sell. This is the new Model X OMU battery. And the reason I have it is my old one, or the one that's still in the car right now, cooking away just fine. The Model X was like, "Oh, your battery is low. Time to change it." And I was like, "No, I just bought this thing." And so the service is really good with them. They said try these various things that will usually do the trick, and none of them do the trick. They're like, "Oh well, you're gonna have to remove all the frunk again and disconnect the positive lead." And so I did. Boop, wait 10 seconds, put it back. Boop, everything's running again. I was like, that's really annoying. I don't want to have to do that again. And what can we do about it? I see that you've got this new one for the Model 3 and the Model Y. What about my lovely legacy Model X? And they said, well, we'll get back to you in a couple months. Something is in the works. We can't tell you much about it. And usually when that happens, the company will just forget about you. So then I got two emails. I got the one announcing this product, and then the one from the person who said, "Hey, we'll get back with you." She said, "All right, so we've got it. It's got heating for when the battery tries to charge in the cold, and it's got Bluetooth. And with the Bluetooth, you can use an app. And with an app, you can reset the connection to the battery or to the car from the battery from inside the app, so I don't have to mess around with my socket wrench anymore."
Oh, that's good.
Nice. Yeah. Nice feature.
Exactly.
One of those double fisted apples.
Because one's just not enough.
I really don't like doctors. I want to keep them so far away.
Yeah, so they on top of that, though, they gave me a significant discount, and that one is not the same as the discount code they give me to share with everybody else, but it was more of we're sorry for having to make you deal with this, and so it was like a variant on my code. Yes, it is live, Digital Pancake, and so what I plan to do next is put it in, try out the app, and let you guys know how it went.
Fantastic. So you might only have to fool with it one more time, and then with the remote connection, that'll be handy if you ever have to reset it, as you did just recently. Yeah.
I told them, I said, "Can you hold off just a couple of weeks so I can figure out if I'm gonna do the unlimited supercharging transfer?" Because obviously that car comes with a lithium battery, so I wouldn't need a lithium iron phosphate starter battery if I didn't keep the car at all, or if I kept them both. And she said, "No problem." Actually, she didn't answer at all. But I noticed that I used it after the date that it was supposed to be good for, and it was still hella good. So I'm assuming she said okay and just didn't bother to answer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, it's just a quick hello to Basm, Hockey Day, Digital Pancake, who have all joined us in the chat room. If you're out there and haven't said hello, please do. Let us know you're there in the chat room. Always nice to see people on the live feed with us.
I have to say, Digital Pancake is such a better name than Analog Waffles.
Hey, June.
Very good, very good. Well, let's start rolling with the stories. I think we got about a dozen of them to go through. And Casey, I'm going to step on your toes just a little bit on the first story, because of course this is about Canada reaching its 200th Supercharger site, Supercharger station. So actually, it just went over recently. Now it's 201. But earlier this week, I've been watching the supercharge.info site with anticipation as we reach the 200 plateau. I think we got another 29 or so that are either in construction or got the permit out. So
nice.
That's great. Another 10% to add to that, which should be coming along shortly. And it's great to see across all the networks. If you haven't checked out supercharge.info, please do. The graphics are really interesting to see the ramp up in both in Europe, in North America, and in Asia. It's kind of neat to see as this Supercharger ramp still goes. Yes, Hockey Day Sarnia is still missing theirs, but every quarter we vote for Sarnia. And I saw that Sarnia made the list this quarter. So
cool.
In the next quarter or two, we can get the votes up and get Sarnia their Supercharger. That would be nice.
So
yeah, I do like the fact that you can vote. That's kind of a neat thing.
Indeed. So we noted that they're doing about 2 a day in North America. Are you guys included in that? Like you guys get 1 a week, or
well, that would if we're going by population, that would be about 1 every 10 days. So it's about there. Yeah, I would say it's fairly close to that. It's we're not quite on par, but it's something that I can see that Canada does show up in the listings on a regular basis. So always good to see as we plug along. And as Patrick said, that's having that ability to vote is great. Just being able to and see the other cities that have gotten the most votes. That's kind of interesting to watch as well. So nice. It's a great little feature.
I don't even know where Sarnia is, but I'm going to go vote for it. I assume it's just the right of Narnia somewhere, but I don't know.
South of Narnia.
That's
Sarnia, Narnia. So it's got to be south, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, it's South Narnia. I get it.
There you go.
I saw photos suggesting that the Columbia V4 is online now. So next time I'm in the area, I will
exactly
make a point to get over there.
Making a site visit next time because it's now up and running.
Yeah, at the very least, the fence is down.
Very good. Very good. Next, let's roll along to Casey's got our next story about another Supercharger.
Yes. So y'all know I like to talk about all the folks who have put the NACs on their vehicles and joined the Supercharger Coalition. This next group, they skip step 1 for good reason. They are located in China, and they don't use CCS1 in China. They use the GBT, which is going to be both a DC and AC plug. There are 2 of them. That's part of the reason why the flap on all the keycard Teslas is so large. It's because they had to be able to fit 2 ports at a kind of catty corner to each other. They used to put them in on the side of the car like a fuel door. And that's just not really Tesla style. So SAIC-GM, it's a joint venture. They have joined the Supercharger Coalition with initially 10 Superchargers and several destination chargers with more to come. Welcome to the Superchargers. Uh-oh. Mark went mute.
Uh-oh. We lost Mark.
Oh, he's there. He's just talking, but we don't hear him.
Yep. Lost Mark's audio.
Yes.
All right. Who's got the next story here?
All right, yeah, let's do that.
I think the next one's yours, Casey.
I believe so. What are we talking about? The Giga... No, that one's not me.
Tesla shares a new video of Giga Berlin lobby.
Yes. My system is running a little janky. If you don't mind sharing it, I'll mute the audio for you.
Okay. So this is from TeslaNorth.com. And let's see, there's the video at.
Hey, we hear you, Mark.
Are you back, Mark?
All right.
So while Patrick loads up the video of the new
Okay.
Tesla Berlin, what did you have to say about the SAIC?
I'm just curious that had nothing to do with NACS, right?
Correct.
So it's strictly CCS there, right?
No, it's GBT. It's yeah, you get a DC plug and an AC plug, and then I guess in the future they're gonna have a successor to CHAdeMO they're gonna share with Japan, because the world needs another standard.
Well, of course we do. Of course we need another standard. But that's interesting that GM's China subsidy, or I guess partner, has decided that they need to link up with those Tesla chargers in China as well. So,
yeah.
And that's the first we've heard. Nobody else has said anything like that, has they?
Correct. It's the only supercharger coalition outside of North America, which is kind of why I did that intro about the plug and them not taking the plug. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure if the new CHAdeMO is backwards compatible with and they don't call it the new CHAdeMO, but basically I don't know if it's compatible with the original CHAdeMO and the GBT DC or not, because the original CHAdeMO was DC only as well. So that's why the Nissan had two plugs, and no matter what market it was in. It'd be interesting to see. If they don't have to change plugs, so that's pretty cool.
Okay. Patrick, you been able to find that?
Yes. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to share this tab.
All right.
Let me know when you can see it.
All right. And share screen.
Something's coming. There it is.
And I'm sure the music is fine, but I don't trust Tesla with music.
Play and full screen.
So go ahead and mute me, and I will hit, like Mark said,
I muted your screen.
Full screen. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. The buzz by into the showroom.
There we go.
A little static when it first started. I got scared. I'm like, did they override the mute?
Up the stairs.
Yes.
Boy, people would be just hitting the deck if they saw this drone coming at them that quickly.
Oh, worse than that, you can hear it. Like it's like a single drone. So that's got to be like just an angry hornet.
Oh yes, the coffee robot.
The robot says, "Hello, would you like a coffee?" Here's a coffee.
Serves up a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And what's this?
Bathroom.
A washroom. Couple snacks.
Would you like a snack? It's very
the outside terrace. Very nice. Yeah. So that looks like a happening place. And I noticed that Tesla actually showed the disco ball too, because they wanted to remain that this is a rave. That's what that disco ball is all about.
You gotta have a disco ball, yeah. And a coffee robot. Who doesn't want a coffee bot?
Exactly.
Optimus caffeinated.
And then they had the group of Optimus Primes that were kind of sitting in the background in that dark corner, just waiting to come alive and maybe distribute some of those sandwiches.
Yeah, that would be cool. Actually, have a real Optimus, not just an arm.
Exactly.
That would be sharp.
Even if they just walked around, like just use the FSD model, and just their job is to like patrol. So when you came into that space, they would come up to you. They would stop if you were in the way. They would wait for you to get out of the way. That would be cool. And then walk over to the charging pod to charge themselves up remotely as well.
Yeah. I think it'd be able to do the whole thing based on what we've seen. Now, how long it would take them to train it to make coffee by watching is a whole other.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people can't even do that, even with training.
This is true. This is true. Let's see. So Digital Pancake says DC plus AC equals easy. Yes. It also makes upgrades easier because you don't have to worry about everything. You don't have to worry about the one side.
Yes.
The reason Tesla doesn't do that is because batteries decay faster. I'm not sure if that is referred to the DC plus AC or if that's the starter battery. They did a similar thing to the starter battery. They have a lithium iron phosphate on the keycard cars. Most of the keycard cars, not the original Model S or Model 3 and Model Y, but newer ones, and then all of the S and X keycards, I believe, at least the ones with the flap instead of the front to back opening. In years, probably. I'm not sure. Only for the rich is referring to. And yeah, Hockey Day said, "Can the robot beer dispenser detect compliant?" I would hope so. Again,
You arc that off.
Right. Give me your keys. I think that's just a matter of them showing it enough drunk people, and maybe smelling enough drunk people that it would know the difference.
It doesn't even have to take your keys. It can just hack into your Tesla account and disable your car.
Nothing like Big Brother watching. Yeah. Next story. Let's move on to confusing story. Actually,
Okay.
This is about Tesla and their contract when they
Yes.
sell a vehicle to you. So
This one was fun because they've always had a not always for the last few months they've had a no reseller clause in their purchase agreement, and it was discovered this weekend that they had added a CyberTruck exclusive version of the clause right underneath the no resellers. It would say for Cybertrucks, blah blah blah. If you sell it within a year, we're going to sue you. A minimum of $50,000, and if you have a hardship that we agree with, then we want first right to refusal, minus 25 cents a mile, and reconditioning. And if you sell it for more, obviously we're going to try to get you for more than the 50K. And then was it yesterday or today that came off of the clause? Some folks were asking, was that just a fake? No, it wasn't. I went to the Tesla.com, the asset where they kept the agreement, and it was on there on page 3. And I didn't go back to see that it's gone, but enough people said it's gone that I trust them. And I think it could come back in some form by the time we're all able to actually take our key cards, but maybe not as aggressive as this was. There's a couple things about that. One, they were resoundingly slapped on the wrist for it, so maybe that's just an unpopular enough policy that they're not going to do it. Two, maybe the way they worded it wasn't quite legal enough, so they're going for another bite at the apple again when they have their legal team look at it again. Or perhaps they could do something like I suggested when we found out about the clause, is that they could just go through and everybody who's got more than one Cybertruck only let them get one at first, and then come circle back around for all the people with the extras.
But that's interesting. We've seen this with supercars and other rare releases, and even with it seems to be there's a small number of people out there that are willing to pay almost anything to get their hands on the first or second or third car available.
We've also seen it on compliance cars, but in a different way. Those ones, they'll just only lease. So that way, if you try to sell the lease, you're stealing their car, and they can come get you for that.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to suggest as a possibility about why they do this is if we remember that Elon ripped out the phones from service department to save some money, perhaps pursuing all of these and monitoring all of these is going to be more expensive than it's worth, because that means hiring people and AI to keep an eye on all these trucks.
Yeah.
Well, they could just look for it being transferred from one Tesla account to another.
They're also trying to stop the transfer of the title with an injunction, so they'd have to watch it really closely.
Yeah, it's interesting that I know Ford has gone through this. I know bigger, more expensive car makers like McLaren this is a regular thing. Audi has seen this happen in the past as well. it's just the free market doing its thing, right? People get a car and their plan is to flip it for an extra 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K whenever they can. So tough to certainly, like I said, Casey, it's manpower to track this, especially when you're putting out, tens of thousands of vehicles. It's
They're not going to be at full speed, but it's enough that they would have to make full-time jobs to keep track of this.
The problem does go away, I would say, after about 6 months. It just kind of solves itself. But
like the first 10, oh yeah, somebody's going to try to sell them for a handsome profit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. I don't know. I've never considered that as an option of doing something like that, but I'm sure there's lots out there that have done it and continue to make it a little side business for themselves.
Yeah. So this isn't unheard of either. It just tends to be on more expensive cars. Because if you remember, John Cena, he got in trouble with Ford for selling his GT40. Sorry, not GT40, the remake, just Ford GT. And a lot of Ferrari owners have to get permission from Ferrari to change ownership. And if you want a new Ferrari, you have to own X amount of used Ferraris and be in good standing with the company before you can even order a new Ferrari. So it's not unheard of. It's just not common.
Yeah, suing your customers is generally not a good look.
Right. Also, remember the Hummer EV had a little bit of this going on after they got that black eye from having, multi-$100,000 Hummer EVs. And I think the Lightning had a similar cause to it, but not like this. So.
I can see the point of a clause like this. You don't want people buying it just to flip it, because then all they're doing is they're making profit on your vehicle and they're really providing no value other than they reserved early. And why not give it to the next person on the list who actually is going to drive it and buy it and love it instead of just trying to make some cash off of it? Exactly. It's just too bad we have people like this in the world. They're going to ruin everything.
Yeah, you made up a good point about the scalpers, like the video cards this weekend. A couple years ago, at the beginning of the work from home revolution, Mark and I were looking at graphics cards. I actually ended up getting one, but the scalpers were incredible. It was like you have a graphics card that normally goes for $300 to $500, and the minimum price was $1,200 to $1,800 to even look at it.
Yeah, there were people buying whole platforms just to pull that card out because they could buy the whole system cheaper.
Indeed.
Crazy.
How could they have a good idea? It might be just keep Monroe from getting his truck.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because
they ordered their own. So
they've ordered, but they're one of those groups that look for the early release to cash in on the fanfare that's going on the vehicle. So they would like to get and I've heard Sandy Monroe openly talk about, hey, if you've got a Cybertruck on order and it's coming in early, we'll take it off your hands.
That is one person you could flip it to, because he's not going to register. He's going to tear it apart, and then it's gone. So
no point in swapping ownership on that baby, or
Well, I mean, like if he's number 100 in line and you're number 2, he'll switch places with you for he'll make it worth your while, and then he'll make his profit on the books.
Exactly.
Go ahead. This could go so many different ways.
Next, Casey's got a story about some Supercharger hardware. So, and this is not a repeat of last week, is it?
Correct. It sounds the same, but it's not. So, last one was BP. This one is a group called EG Group, and they're European. So I was under the impression that these were European V4 superchargers they were selling. But then I learned this group owns a lot of these like weird off-brand misspelled gas station chains in the US. Think like Come and Go, but not them, because they weren't listed in the group.
They have Minute Mart, I think.
Yeah,
and
Minute Mart, a bunch of gas stations that sometimes look similar, sometimes don't, but they all have one thing in common, that their names are spelled wrong. And so these might actually be U.S. superchargers or a combo of U.S. and European superchargers. We don't know. But the same deal as BP, where they're doing their own installs and own support. This is this is unprecedented. Well, this one literally is precedented once, but this whole idea is unprecedented, and we've never seen anything like this. And we'll see how it goes with them doing their own installs and own maintenance. One thing that I'm wondering now is, does that mean that V4 is going to be palletized, and then they can just do the prefab? Because that makes it a lot easier for everybody.
I gotta believe that they're happy with the prefabs that they're putting out now, the version 3. Yeah. So I gotta believe there's a team working on how do we palletize the V4s as well. It would make complete sense because of the speed that they're rolling those out at some sites. And of course, we have noticed that there are sites it's unsuitable for because they still do the regular supercharge install at certain, and that could be, that could be space availability. That could be how the parking lot is situated. What wires and such are already pre-wired. There could be some things like that involved. Comes in. Yeah. But it's definitely, they've got to be working on that, I would think.
Yeah, and there's one notable difference between this deal and the previous deal, in that we don't know how much it was for.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering that too. Like the last one, they said it was $100 million worth. But they didn't say how many stations that equates to, but at least we had some indication of the size. This one gave us no clue.
It did say millions of dollars. That's all it said. Yeah. So that could be anything beyond 2.
Yes.
2.01. We'll have to watch the balance sheet to see if it shows up.
I also was looking at some of the ownership that they have in the UK and in Europe, and they do again own a number of different branded service stations, and there is some retail as well. So they do own some like food stores that maybe are going to be rolling into the mix or not. Not really sure. Obviously, they haven't been giving us their actual plans to this point. But this is interesting that we've got now people that are installing charger infrastructure that have obviously looked at what is out there in the field and have decided that maybe with all these other companies switching to Tesla plugs, that maybe we should be just looking at buying the hardware directly from Tesla because of their uptime and their reliability. That definitely could be weighing on some of these purchases.
Yeah, and we see how much more cheaply Tesla is able to install their stations than the competition. So if you're looking at buying enough for, like, just call it just as low as 50 sites, and you look at the price that the ChargePoint's going to charge you with their ongoing whatever, and then you look at the price of giving up the land to EA and hoping that they don't piss your customers off, and then you look at how much Tesla charges, and it's like, well, we can do 100 stores with that, 200 stores.
Exactly.
Basically, the reason I come up with 200 to 50 is when you look at what we saw for the quotes in Texas and other states.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how fast these guys can install stuff compared to Tesla. And what's the limiting factor? Is it manufacturing of the superchargers, or is it the installation and permitting and all of that? So do we end up getting 3 times as many per week as we usually get? Or, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, going to share this screen and this photo. This, of course, is Giga Texas. And we've got another shot of the different castings that have been rolled out just outside the factory, and the ramp up that apparently is happening all across the one side, where they're continually adding these front and back Giga castings for the Cybertruck. So not a surprise, but this is good news to see, because we're getting confirmation here that they are continuing to roll out the castings because, of course, Cybertruck being released in 2 weeks and a day as of today is going to need a lot of these. We're hoping that they are going to be able to produce hundreds. And of course, there's a ramp up. Yes, there's absolutely a ramp up. It's not going to be as quick as everybody wants, because when you get over 1 million people with orders that are ready to buy, you can never be quick enough. But at least we are seeing that the castings on the outside of the building are actually starting to ramp up, and those are starting to populate more and more space in the staging areas of Giga Texas.
Yeah, and for those that saw the photos of the Cybertruck in New York this past week, they said that one had just come off of the assembly line and been thrown on a truck and obviously washed. But that one was looking, I don't know that I could say it was 10 microns or not, but it was definitely better than Franz's black wrap Cybertruck that we saw the week before.
Yeah.
That one looked sloppy, and this one looked super tight. And if this photo I'm thinking is just based on the Jeep or the UTV that's sitting out there, Joe Tegmeyer, when he took this with his drone, he's part of the quad squad. He said that was empty. They had cleared out the ones that we saw previously, so these are not the ones we saw when we were trying to figure out how many are in there. He said that was empty, and then they filled it up again with these. So that bodes well that they're actually getting ready to put them all together.
Exactly. Now, what will be interesting to see is they can't really. They can somewhat. They can't really hide the Cybertrucks as they're completed too much. Giga Texas does have a lot of open space, I would imagine, at this point still. There are, areas, but are those areas ideal for storing the pickup trucks as they're coming off the line? Are they trying to block us from seeing what's going out, or would it make more sense to Tesla to just roll them out into the pickup areas if they are indeed complete, whether they get transported or not? I think that would be a testament to people that own the stock, just to roll those pickup trucks out, have them sitting in the sunshine and waiting for pickup wherever that may be. I have heard rumors that Tesla is planning on rolling a number of trucks out to different, shops. I'm sorry, not shops, stores, locations across the country in different states. So major metropolitan areas, there is talk of them rolling out a number of Cybertrucks to have on hand for the launch date or shortly after. So people can actually go to their local high volume Tesla location and see a Cybertruck or two. So, and I think that's great PR. They should be definitely doing that because, of course, as Tesla becomes more and more of a mainstream company and we're bringing in more and more clients that are not used to Tesla, having a demonstration model where you're ordering it is definitely puts people at ease. We all bought sight unseen. We bought for a number of reasons that we understood, but bringing in somebody that's never experienced that, you get a little worried when you're not seeing the actual product. You may wait until a neighbor orders one and it shows up in their driveway before you actually.
That might be too long.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it would behoove Tesla to actually push these out to some of these major metropolitan centers and advertise that they're there. That come in and check out the newest Cybertruck. It's here for you to take a look at, to sit in, to open doors. That would be an excellent idea.
Yeah, test drives even.
Yeah, test drives too, or at least to sit in it. So you pointed out sight unseen, which is true for nearly every Tesla owner out there. But for the three of us, it was a little more liberal because all three of us bought our Model 3s on launch day. Like I think one of you guys waited until the unveil
afternoon. Day. No.
I waited 3 days after.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then I was there in line before we even knew anything about it, except that it was what it was called, and it was as low as 35 grand, which took a while to get there.
Yeah, and I was feeling it. Like I really trusted Elon based on his comments up to that point, but I could not pull the trigger without actually seeing the Model 3 on stage for the first time. My expectation was it was going to look fantastic, and absolutely it did. Yes. But I really had to see it with my own eyes first, and then
Yeah.
I rewind the video. I watched it the next day, and I watched it the day after that, and I said, "Okay, that's it. We're in. We're going for it."
Yeah. That's how I was with the Cybertruck. I was like, all right, let's see what they do. And then, oh my goodness, is that a joke? And then, well, it does even half the stuff that they said during the crowd storming session. Then I might as well have this thing. And then I put my order in right before going into work that next morning.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then on the Model 3, it took so long for my number to get called. I had actually bought a used Model S, which that helped. And then all of a sudden it yanked my reservation to the beginning of the the people who didn't own a Tesla's line, but to the end of the people who did. So my number got called way sooner than I was expecting.
How ironic.
Yeah.
Oh, and look, Derek was with me. He had to see it with his own eyes first as well. So yeah, and I gotta think that as Tesla enters the mainstream, there's just going to be more and more people that are used to going to a car lot, seeing the type of car they want, seeing the color they want, and then pulling the trigger. Then, so I think that Tesla's got to mold a little bit and head in that direction. You don't have to do it all, but I think that having the best of both worlds is going to help them. So I think it's something they should strive towards.
Or in my case with the Model S, sitting in it in the mall, which is not available in most places anymore.
That's right.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
Well, remember, Elon tried to shut down all of the sales, and then they ended up closing most of the malls instead.
Let's take a look at the Tesla poll this week, which came out on Monday. And of course, if you want to participate, just subscribe to our X account at the Tesla Life, and you can participate as well. We got over 450 votes on this particular one. And this one was, how long do you plan on holding on to your Tesla after you've purchased it? And we got 1 to 3 at the lowest, 9%. We got 4 to 5 years at 23.7%. 6 to 9 years at just over 28%. And the number one answer, over 10 years at almost 40% of the respondents. So, and I wanted to ask Patrick, because of course he is one that just sold a vehicle recently. How old was that vehicle, Patrick, when you sold it?
It was 7 years old. Yeah, so it was a 2016, and I sold it in 2023.
Nice. I sold it in 2016
and Casey had a Model S for a while. How long did you hold on to that one, Casey?
A year and change, almost 2 years. It was early 2016. It was actually built, or at least its wheels were built on Valentine's Day. When they had the tires off one time, it had a little chalk mark for when it was built, and the rest of the car said February. So I'm saying Valentine's Day was the time my car was built. And that one I sold in September of 2018 to pick up the Model X, which is now had its 5th year anniversary.
Exactly. So I am actually over 5 years now. It was 5 years in May, late May. So those in the chat room, Derek, Digital Pancake, if you guys own a Tesla, let us know how long you've had yours, compared to how long you plan on having it. So that's interesting. That was the promise of the Tesla vehicle in my eyes, was longevity. It did promise the ability that it would last longer. It would have less moving parts. There should be less maintenance associated with it, and again, less cost. And I've never spent that much money on a car when I bought my Model 3 back in 2018. But I was looking for the long game. If this car actually can go 10 years, if it can go beyond 10 years, then, of course, every year that you keep it, the big purchase up price when you started gets deflated by that much more. So you're knocking it down over time that you keep it. And, of course, if you can keep an asset longer without, of course, running into major headaches in keeping it maintained and running, you're ahead of the game. So it'll be interesting to see how long this goes. My plan is to go beyond 10 years if I can do it. I plan on keeping it maintained, and I plan on, if it doesn't get out of control cost-wise for the maintenance of that vehicle, and of course we're getting updates, which will end at some point. I'm not saying we're going to get updates for 10 years. They eventually do peter out and stop. But I think that still getting updates after 5 years is fantastic. So if it was to even cap out after 6, I wouldn't be disappointed at all. Obviously, I'd still like them, but I understand that there is a end game to this. You can't just keep updating when maybe the hardware becomes the limiting factor that's in the car.
Yeah.
So.
But to that same point, the original Model S's at 2012 are still getting updates. Not even near as frequently as they used to, but they are still getting. Derek says, "My wish for Tesla: stop charging more for different painkillers." And on 3 vehicles: Model S, Model X, Cybertruck.
So I'm glad to see everybody in the poll there, or not everybody, but 40% are saying 10 years or longer, just because vehicles depreciate. And so they're not good investments generally. And so keeping it 10 years is the best way to handle that. So even if you finance it for the first 5 years, the second of those, the second half of that 10 years, now you're not paying car payments every year. And instead you can put that towards investments or retirement or whatever, quality of life you want to, however you want to spend it. It's good not to have car payments.
Yes. I said with my title in the safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, next, let's move on to another company. Patrick, do you have this story about another company we know in Texas?
Oh, yes, I do. Okay, let's pull this up. Yeah, it does. Let's find the one that Mark is talking about.
I'm sorry, did I spring this wrong on you?
That's not it. No, I've got it. The funny thing is I have this. It's in Bastrop, Texas, but that's. Let me pull it up because I somehow I think after I shared, I accidentally closed the wrong window.
Oh,
there we go. The Boring Company opens Hyperloop Plaza to the Bastrop, Texas community. So this looks like a pretty cool little spot. It's they call it the Boring Company Bodega, Proof Rock Pub, and His and Her salons. So if you want to go,
I got a couple photos I'll share.
Okay, yeah, go for it. So it's interesting that the Boring Company is calling it Hyperloop Plaza because right now they're just doing loops. They're not doing any of that. So Hyperloop is the word. It's vacuum, and so that's not happening yet. But they can open a plaza to celebrate it.
Yeah, and you can see from the background up top and on the side that this is like a warehouse. Yeah, where this is installed in, and there's a couple other photos where they've got retail product on the shelves, right? They've got a little community center area with some screens. And of course, they're in South Texas, so they got hockey on one of the screens, and that's quite normal.
Lucky you. Yeah.
So I'm already enticed to visit. So that's kind of cool. But it looks like a little type convenience type store.
Boring, but
yeah. It says they've got farm fresh foods and something that the Boring Company calls future fancy goods. I wonder what future fancy goods are. It sounds like where you can go to Star Wars Land and get blue milk.
Exactly. Another thing I just noticed is they're rocking the old Nintendo system as well.
Oh, cool.
They've got the old NES hooked up with Mario Brothers playing.
Yeah.
This is entertained.
This is a departure stylistically from the Tesla and SpaceX retail areas. It's a little more plain Jane, a little farmy and homey.
And we haven't heard a lot about the Boring Company lately, have we? We know they're working in Las Vegas, but there hasn't been a lot of press releases from them. Since, of course, Tesla moved to the Austin area, they picked up their headquarters and moved it to South Texas as well. And that's not a big surprise. But at this location as well, this is where they do some of the testing of their digging vehicles. So you get different images of proof rock digging into the ground or coming out. There was the talk of a test a couple test tunnels. They're building on the actual property or partial tunnels. But yeah, it's good to see that they're engaging with the community, making this a stop, and of course. This could help them with their connection with the public, could help them with their recruitment of people to work there. Just engaging with the community and saying hello, and here we are, and this is what we're doing. Drop by anytime.
I'm surprised it doesn't look like more like one of the loop tunnel stops.
Right.
And maybe even have some of the drilling blades in there, and behind a rope where someone doesn't damage themselves on it. But yeah, so I'd like to see a year from now what's this place going to look like, because I'm sure it'll keep evolving and improving.
So it looks like a farm center.
And that's what I had put in one of our Twitter posts, was that the Boring Company has opened up a convenience store, and it's above ground.
One, it's above ground, and two, it looks like nothing that any of these Musk companies have ever done for interior design.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, again, this looks like it's in one of their available buildings. Maybe this will expand over time. Maybe they'll add some of the neon tunnel look to it as they move along. There's all sorts of possibilities they can move, but good for them. Reach out to the community and start making connections. Always good to do.
Definitely.
Next story we've got is about, the update. 2023.38 has now started to roll out. And what is cool about this is that it is updating your Tesla in-car navigation system to show you some other interesting points, such as whether or not the supercharger you're going to has any type of a wait upon arrival time. So it is tracking also the number of cars that are en route to this particular supercharger, as well as a possible wait time. So this gives you, excuse me, it gives you the ability to know if there is going to be some sort of a wait, or if you can expect some sort of a wait, as well as knowing that, hey, look, I've got a dozen more cars that are en route. Again, with Tesla collecting all this information remotely through their cars, knowing where the superchargers are, knowing the route you're taking, the navigation points you are on, this is great information to have as a Tesla owner, understanding what's going on. I thought it was fantastic in the past just to be able to look at the current supercharger use rate from the app. So as we were on some of these longer trips, we're knowing we're going to stop in, say, London, Kentucky. We know we're stopping there. And we can look at the Supercharger London, Kentucky little pin drop at any point, and it would tell us immediately that out of the 8 stalls there, only 1 is being utilized. So it gave us confidence to believe that when we arrive, there's going to be lots of chargers available for us to choose from, at least another 7 in that particular case. So that's very cool that they keep adding to this application and giving us more information.
Yeah, this one also comes with several things that we knew about and some that we didn't know about, and others got to find a little bit. One of the ones that I complained about was they said they put the windows down when your update goes off. I was like, I don't like that at all. But what they do is they just drop the windows the same as if you'd open the doors, so that you don't break your windows on the trim or scratch your trim on the windows. The faster flash when your airbags go off on the hazard lights. They also let you know when somebody is looking at your location. So if you have a spouse or anybody else that shares the car with you, it has the app and they start tracking the car, there'll be a little notification on the MCU. Same goes if you have any of these apps like the Tesla Spy, Tesla Scope, Tesla Fi, all the others. And also, I'm assuming that would also do it if Tesla dials in while you're driving and looks to see, hey, where is he? It doesn't say that, but it just goes to reason. You get Vampire Survivors on compatible cars. It's a game. And then, of course, the big one was the predictive supercharger ability. And then in service mode, there's now something to help the techs with your brakes when you have brake service done.
Yeah. And no, Derek, no water, but I did have some Pepsi Pepsi Zero, not Red Bull. I'm not crazy. You don't want Red Bull on this show, trust me. But yeah, that's great news. And again, this application keeps getting better. We talked about updates previously, having updates in the navigation to the app to Tesla as a whole. That is Tesla's calling card. You don't see other companies that do these type of changes and modifications on the roll as often as Tesla does. And that's winning the hearts and minds of customers as they move forward with this company. So 5 years in, and all I see is that the navigation, the app, the website, it just keeps getting better as time goes along. So that's fantastic.
I wonder how they're going to deal with non-Teslas when they start opening up superchargers to other vehicles. Those other vehicles, are they going to report their intended destination or not? I guess it all depends on which APIs the other car company implements as they start opening up the supercharger locations.
They have an incentive to do this. Two reasons. One, for their car to preheat or pre-cool, which we know the Toyota is apparently not doing, but everybody else does. And the other reason is for this predictive, perhaps for Tesla to spit out a wait time, they have to know who's coming and when they plan to get there. So you give them a little something, and you get a little something back.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, if you replace this large supercharger with the one down the street, if it's got like no wait, and instead of going to the one the car picked for 30-minute wait.
Right, and we've seen that Tesla's not opening up their entire network all at once. They're strategically doing it, right? So they can have they can direct the Teslas to the ones where they have more accurate data, where they don't have these other vehicles going, and then let the other. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And you know they're going to keep track of all the data, and they're going to use that to make better estimates going forward. And they can do things like we just talked about, segment traffic if they need to.
Yeah. Speaking of data, that's a great segue into Patrick's next story, and that's about all the data they're collecting for range.
That is right. If you can share the image from that story, Mark. So one of the things that we've talked about on this show in the past is how Tesla gets a lot of data about your driving. And one of the things they use that for is to estimate how far you're going to get. And they have this nice graph the Mark is there showing about what they've predicted and then how you're doing on this trip relative to that prediction. So you can see the sections in yellow, you were doing a little worse. The section in green, you're doing a little better. And then right there at the end is where you're at. And you can see that it's slightly above their prediction. And the cool thing about that is if you're watching this and the endpoint is your destination. So in this example, they're going to get there still with 70% charge left. And yeah, you know that you'll be able to make it there no problem. And you could even do a round trip and you could probably be only down to 40 and you'd be fine, unless it happens to be all downhill one way. But so this is helpful data.
I like to drive downhill in both directions, Patrick.
Good job. Yes. That's better than uphill in the snow, the way I went to school as a child. Somehow it was both ways. And then under the graph there, they tell you the various different regions of whether it was your driving style, that is it better or worse than they anticipated, your climate use better or worse than they anticipated, if you were doing some battery conditioning or not. And so every time you do a drive, they're going to be looking at this. And they gave us a list of, let's see, it was 18 different things that they're looking at. And they say this isn't even a complete list. And I'll just speed through it.
I believe it. It's certainly more than they had last time they told us.
Exactly. Wind speed and direction, elevation, grade, traffic speed, average acceleration, deceleration, ambient temperature, humidity and pressure, solar load and cloud cover, initial battery percentage, or SOC, initial battery temperature, gross combined vehicle weight, rolling resistance. Hello? Are you still reading this list? Aerodynamic drag coefficient, HVAC consumption, vehicle-specific energy consumption, such as a bike rack or similar, and battery preconditioning. So yeah, that's all that just happens automatically. It does all this math for you. You don't have to do it. And in the old days, with pre-Tesla, that's what I had to do. It's like, okay, I need to get from here to there. how much is the elevation change, and a lot of other math to figure out where I could charge it if I was going to make it, or if I had to find some campground in between to charge up on a NEMA 1450 for a half an hour or whatever. And so this just makes it so easier. No math required. The cool thing about this is, like Casey, you said, that they keep adding factors. So in 2016, when I got my Model X, we put the bike rack on and we went for a long trip in Eastern Oregon. And I kept coming in worse than it had estimated. Well, because I've got the bike on the back and that's causing drag. And so after the first leg of that, I made it fine. But then I knew that, okay, if it said I'm going to have 20% left, that I'm really going to have 8% left. And so if it's going to say I'm going to have 8% left, I don't go that way. I'll go a different way. And so now with all this, it's just so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to the show where Patrick and I were talking about when they added wind direction and I think tire inflation was two of the things they talked about. They added, and it was like, whoa, this is getting great, because we were talking like the bike rack incident, and then just the amount of times where if we were in the stock car as it comes and we didn't overload it, it would be a decent prediction. But if we changed anything, it was not so good. And now we were talking about in the wintertime, I had second guessed it, and there was another time where Patrick had second guessed it, and both times we were wrong and the car was right.
It knows what it's doing pretty well now.
Yeah, I remember in the old days with the Volt, and obviously I had a generator, a backup generator, but I would try to drive electric as often as possible. And there was those calculations where you were saying, how far am I actually going? What's the map say? How many kilometers would that be? And am I going up or down? And do I think I can make it? Could I judge for a stop for 10 minutes somewhere? And if I'm just almost there, I could. All that kind of stuff was when you were close. When you were close on it, you would drill into it. If you knew you could make it, you had 20% left, no problem. Then of course it wasn't a big deal. But doing those calculations was part of the geekdom of owning an EV in the early days, and understanding that hey, if I am a little bit light on the accelerator on this trip, I'll make it. If I'm hard on the accelerator, probably won't make it. So all that kind of stuff. But of course, Patrick was riding the razor's edge because he had no backup generator with him. It was just his wits and calculations as he went. So kudos to Patrick on those early days.
The Leaf was an upgrade from his previous range.
This is true. Yes. Yeah, I did some hypermiling occasionally when I had to. Got my hazards on and I'm going under the speed limit. This is dangerous, but if I don't do this, I won't make it. I'm so happy I don't have to do that anymore.
The Model 3 from Hertz. Were you able to use the app?
Yeah, Derek, how was your experience? Let us know. Yeah. And while we wait for Derek's response, just a quick note that the invitations for 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks and 1 day, for the CyberTruck Delivery Event have started to be sent out to the first batch of people. So that invitation has been sent. And Tesla sometimes does this in little bits of waves. Like they'll do a first wave and then they'll do a second wave. I don't think it'll take long to fill whatever event space they have for this particular one. But it will be interesting to see if we hear about a second wave going. But we have heard the first wave has left the building. So that's great. Can hardly wait until we get there, man. Like it's like 2 weeks, not long at all. It was 2 years not too long ago. But now we're down to 2 weeks. So this is going to be very cool. It'll be interesting to see how many trucks are given out. Will it be the standard 20 or 25 or 30 that they give out every once in a while? And it'll be interesting to see if there will be other deliveries almost immediately after, because it does look like from the pictures we saw the castings today that they are building up a little bit of a fleet. And if they are doing that, I gotta believe the drone army is going to spot some of these parked vehicles that have come off the production line. So even through a window, because they're good at that. So it'll be interesting to see in this next 2 weeks.
The Quad Squad has been counting how many were in the outbound lot, and it started out like 2, 4, 6, and then the last couple times I've seen it reported, there were like 10. So they're increasing it, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Derek has indicated that he did not have any luck with the app, that he tried a few times. So
That's too bad.
But he did find that the car had a little bit less range than his, and that the ride was more comfortable than his 28. So maybe different suspension in the car. So interesting.
So 2 weeks from now, do we want to delay our normal show a day and do a Cybertruck event? Or
I think we might. If you guys are up for it, I'm up for a late night reveal, and we'll skip the Wednesday and broadcast on the Thursday instead, and do a live CyberTruck delivery event, if that works for you two.
We could do the show and then roll into, because Elon doesn't know how to read timepieces to save his life. We could just do our show and then
stories for some time filler.
Yeah, we'll collect stories that week and have them available to us, and then based on the lateness of the unveiling, we can give out some stories as well. So great idea.
Put in the chat, how many minutes late do you think Elon will be?
That is always the question.
That's always the bet at these shows. Although I have to say, he's been getting better.
It depends on the type of the event, because man, for the last 2 fun ones, he was late.
Do you remember the one with the rumor that he wasn't there because the plane had not landed?
Yeah, that was
an
hour
late,
wasn't it?
Yeah, that was interesting. So
Derek's
hopefully we won't have to wait too long. But, June's got 34. Very good. So we'll have time to collect that certainly. So put in your responses and let us know. 69, absolutely.
69 minutes and 42 seconds.
I hope it's not over an hour, but you never know. And the symbolism of 69 is right up Tesla's alley as well. So
420.
Exactly, 420.
Oh, that's really late.
420. That's next week.
With that,
go ahead, Casey.
You said that the truck was, we were expecting it in 2 years, and then it was 2 years of overtime, and then now we just got 2 weeks to go.
2 weeks to go. 2 weeks. Well, with that, let's roll out some shout outs and head her out. Casey, what do you got going on that you can let the crowd know?
So I've got Patrick was on there last week. We do these little chats on Sunday, which is going to be about the basically the carbon reduction revolution. There's a certain kind of future that Patrick likes, and
I do a future free from fossil fuels.
Yeah, maybe. Topic. Yes. And so tune in on Sundays at 1:10 Eastern, and it's not just Tesla, that one. We kind of spread it around, and it's kind of fun. Like we were ragging on Mercedes for putting on their charging stations at malls. So I was like, you can't travel at night at malls, and then they opened up all of the next batch was in Buc-ee's. It's like, oh, okay, well they listen. But that's where you find it. YouTube.com/CaseyGreen.
Fantastic. And Patrick, any shout outs for the group as we head off?
Hello. As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. I've got one coming soon about affordable EVs, because that's where we got to get to.
Yes.
Eventually. Model Next, and there are some hacks you can do today to get some affordable ones that I discuss in the upcoming. It'll be published on the 26th, so you got to wait. Less than 2 weeks, though.
There you go.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us, especially those in the chat room that have said hello. Digital Pancake, Derek, Basm, JT, June, Hockey Day. Derek, thank you all. Appreciate it. And we'll get together next week and find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive. Test negative.